Hello everyone, my name is Brittany Stone and I am a student at Liberty University working towards receiving my master's degree in human services with an emphasis in life coaching. I am presenting to you all today my project on interpersonal communications for my final project in class HSCO 508. My project will display my personal goals for communication in my personal life and in my professional life. I will discuss my background and my behavior blends from my Uniquely You profile. I will discuss my barriers in communication and strategies to overcome them, and I will lastly explain my action plan just for communication in general. Next slide. So let's just start. What is interpersonal communication? Interpersonal communication is communication that involves talking and listening in ways that maximizes the presence of the personal, and that was by Stewart. We read the book Bridges Not Walls this semester in class, which is a really good book. And so he explains thoroughly what interpersonal communication is. Next slide. My overarching goal, just let's describe what is an overarching goal. It's a bigger goal with smaller goals underneath. And so my goals are to be able to listen to others without becoming easily distracted by what is going on around me. And I guess a smaller goal under that would be to review communication techniques for attentive listening and mindful listening. Another goal is to be a successful entrepreneur in the business of life coaching and in the funeral home profession. And some sub goals under that I need to achieve before the bigger goal would be to graduate from Liberty University, to graduate with my associate's degree in funeral home from John A. Gupton. I need to build clientele, and I need to discover my niche in life coaching, which is a niche is a specialty area of focus. And lastly, my last goal is to develop better understanding of self and self-worth. And to do that, I will have to work on changing my perception of myself, strengthening my self-esteem, and just to be honest. Next slide. So the importance of my goals and the role of interpersonal communication, how they play into each other. I must be able to effectively hold and engage in conversation with others. I must be able to know how to efficiently help others, and I must be able to think positively of myself before trying to help other people. And that's important because I don't want to give off negative energy. If I'm communicating with clients or people in business with me, I need to be able to listen to them, be mindful, pay attention to every little detail, pay attention to body language, verbal communication, and nonverbal communication. Next slide. A little bit about myself. I'm 26 years old. I am the oldest daughter of my mom and dad. I am sociable, but I can be socially awkward in different settings. I'm open. I graduated from the top of my class in high school, and in undergrad I was involved in many different student activities, and in post-graduation I'm involved in a few different activities too. I'm single. I consider myself to be independent. I'm sensitive, honest, creative, and I am a business owner. In my business, I do t-shirts. Next slide. And some negative influences on my communication would have to be my self-doubt. Sometimes I overthink things and question myself when it comes to what I know and what I don't know. So self-doubt gets in the way. Fear gets in the way, and I feel the need to perfect everything. I have to be perfect in everything. When I say stuff, I have to be perfect. Overthinking, and sometimes I can be overly emotional. Next slide. And so I want to discuss now my behavior blend. A behavior blend is a variety of personality traits that a person may possess. And Carbonell wrote the book How to Solve the People Puzzle. and it's a four temperament model of human behavior, which is also known as DISC, DISC, for the four temperate labels. And the D stands for dominance, the I stands for influence, the C stands for consciousness, and the S stands for steadiness. And so people that have a D personality, they're more dominant, they're direct, they're strong minded, and they can be kind of forceful. People living that have an I type personality, they're outgoing, they're more influential to people, they high spirited, they're lively. And C, people who consciousness, they're always careful, they are analytical, they're reserved. And for the S, steadiness, they people are patient and tactful and humble. Next slide. And so for myself, when I did my Uniquely You profile, when I took the quiz, I scored in SI or IS, which is influence and steadiness. And so some negative and positives about that. People expect me to inspire, and they also expect me to be submissive. I can be very emotional and overly empathetic. I'm a people pleaser, people oriented, and I prefer positive environments. And sometimes I can spend too much time focusing on others rather than focusing on myself and getting a task done. And people that have an IS type personality, they are not very task oriented people. They're more focused on making sure that everybody else is okay versus themselves. Next slide. Some barriers in my communication would have to be ritual listening, and we read the book by Peterson, and he describes ritual listening as listening to somebody, but also taking while the person is talking, you are already thinking of something else to say to kind of change the subject to make it more about you. And sometimes I can do that. Communication, very inhaling with little exhaling. I normally take in a lot, but I take in so much to where I don't release it. Another one is deciding whether or not to show empathy. Sometimes I can talk to people, and I have trouble knowing when to be open and when to not be open with certain people. The next one is listening to what is most important. I tend to zone out in certain conversations and stuff, so I can miss certain things. So I can miss what is important to them, and so I miss that. The last one is sometimes I wear my emotions on my sleeve, which can be a bad thing in communication, because I can be focused on my emotions so much to where I miss what the person is saying. Next slide. So some important resources and strategies that I feel will be helpful to make sure that my communication skills are better. We read the book on listening by Burley Allen. It's a good book, and this book is full of exercises that can help individuals evaluate certain characteristics they possess as far as listening and other self-assessments on communication. And the book will help you look at your listening behavior and suggest strategies to modify them. The next one is Why Don't We Listen Better by Peterson. And so one particular concept that I liked out of this book was the TLC model, TLC card, which is the talker-listener card. And it basically explains the roles of the talker and the listener in conversation. The talker, they own the problem, and the listener just receives the problem. They just try to figure out ways to help the talker to achieve. Next slide. I found this journal article about listening. It is called Effective Listening, the Importance of Listening. And so this particular journal article describes the different type of listeners, what kind of listener are you, and how it affects others. Next slide. So my plan of action to better myself in communication is to be more honest with myself about myself. listen without zoning out or overthinking, practice self-disclosure. We learned what self-disclosure is, and it's basically being honest with other people. It's kind of a hard task to do, but that's something I plan to work on. Focus more on my avowed identity versus my ascribed identity given by others. Just focus on how I think about myself and not too much worry about what other people have to say. Definitely pray more to God and have better communication with Him, because everything starts with God first. And lastly, I need to be comfortable networking in small and large groups. Yeah. And in conclusion, as a business owner and future life coach, effective communication will play a vital role in the way I interact with my clientele. Listening is the most important form of communication, so I have to be able to listen. I am learning daily to practice mindful listening by paying attention physically and emotionally to what the person is saying. And I plan to also get better in touch with myself and let God heal me from certain insecurities that I possess. And I wanted to share a quote that I thought was pretty good. It's about interpersonal communication. And it says, to a degree that we seldom realize, we depend upon the participation of others in our lives and upon our own participation in the lives of others. Our success and effectiveness as persons is based upon this participation and upon an ability to maintain a controlling competence in communicating with others. Thank you guys for watching my presentation. Thank you.